We live in an age of an abundance of JRPGs. Of course, the first series that comes to mind is Final Fantasy, or possibly Pokemon, which may be a contentious pick. However, the genre is brimming with tons of others like Chrono Trigger, Star Ocean, Dragon Quest, the Mana series, the list goes on and on. Now, while the first developer that comes to mind is Square Enix, and rightfully so, they pretty much had a hand in every aforementioned series. However, Atlus has a treasure that was long unknown to the Western mainstream until the 21st century. One of the most unique and enthralling JRPG experiences I've ever had in my life. Persona. Go ahead, Shin Megami Tensei fans, break out the torches and pitchforks. I'm ready. Persona started as a spin-off of the brutally challenging Shin Megami Tensei series, yet has managed to come into its own over the past few years. Persona 5, and its deluxe version with tons of new content, Persona 5 Royal, are among the top-rated games of the PS4, period. For a JRPG to be rubbing shoulders with the likes of Red Dead Redemption and The Last of Us, outside of Japan no less, is an amazing achievement. But my praise for the fifth entry in the series will be sung another day. In celebration of the upcoming remasters of Personas 3 and 4, I've decided to dedicate today's video to Persona 4 Golden, the hit PlayStation Vita/Steam title that's making its way to modern consoles. The series offers something for everyone. It has a solid turn-based battle system, dungeon exploration, monster collection, social life sim, a unique art style, and a larger-than-life soundtrack with jazz and rock fusions that you can jam to for days. Now let's talk about the core gameplay mechanic, the Personas. They are the game's namesake, after all. Think of Personas like grown-up versions of Pokemon. They are creatures based on mythological demons and deities across all different mythologies. Greek, Norse, Abrahamic, Hindu, Roman, you name it. Even my favorite one of all time, Alice in Wonderland. Non-boss enemies are nothing to her. There are different ways to acquire said Personas in the various games. Persona 4 has a card shuffling game after you fight a battle, which enables you to add them to your arsenal. But many of the more powerful Personas need to be fused. When you fuse certain compatible Personas, you'll end up with an entirely new one that inherits skills from its parents. A lot like Pokemon breeding. Every party member has a fixed Persona, but the protagonist can switch between them on the fly. In addition to affecting your stats such as attack and defense, the Persona affects which abilities you're able to use. Every Persona, both friendly and foe, has their own elemental strengths and weaknesses, and if you or them are hit with said weakness, they enter a down state which enables you to make a second move. You can chain this onto other enemies in the group, and if you manage to down the entire enemy team, you can execute a powerful all-out attack for massive damage. Cycling between Personas to try and down all your enemies makes combat very fun and satisfying. I actually found myself enjoying the battles, rather than wanting to constantly flee like in a lot of other JRPGs. We can't forget the social life sim. It's more than just a time sink in between dungeons, but are in fact tied to the titular Personas. You chat with your party members and various other NPCs you meet. You get to engage in activities, work jobs, go on dates with the ladies, you know, all the things I didn't get to do when I was in high school. All the Personas are assigned types based on tarot cards, and each tarot card is affiliated with one of your friends. Raising your affection with these people allows Personas of that type to become stronger when you fuse them, and maxing out that person's affection unlocks a unique, powerful Persona that would otherwise be inaccessible. Imagine if real life were like that. You could summon Thor himself just by driving your friend to the airport. The storyline's very non-traditional from a JRPG standpoint. There's no magical crystals, or diabolical wizards, or an evil empire to fight. It's a teenage murder mystery set in a rural small town. You play as the self-named new kid in town, staying with his uncle for the year who gets wrapped up in all this. You and your friends are able to travel into a mysterious shadow world inhabited by monsters and Personas by getting sucked into a TV. The shadow world is also home to the alter egos of various characters which embody their negative characteristics, which manifest as boss monsters. One big flaw of the game, which is rectified by its sequel, is the dull nature of the dungeons. There's really no puzzles to speak of besides locks and basic pattern recognitions. It's just a series of procedurally generated hallways. I feel like they just got lazy here and used the rest of the game's awesomeness to cover it up. It's almost like an obstacle to proceed to the next part of the engrossing story. They could have done so much more, especially with the unique visuals and the awesome music present elsewhere throughout the game. When talking about Persona, especially 3, 4, and 5, you can't discount the aesthetics. While the characters are done in the stereotypical anime style, the rest of the game sports an old-school cross between a manga and a film noir. Even the intro gives huge Cowboy Bebop-like vibes, which is never a bad thing. The soundtrack ranges from jazzy beats, synth tracks, heavy guitars, and poignant piano pieces. This game is just an audiovisual slam dunk. Now I know I've buried the lead here, considering that this video is on my Remakes, Remasters, and Ports playlist, so let's delve into the new features of Persona 4 Golden. And boy, hang on to your hats, because it's more than just gameplay tweaks and graphical improvements. First, let's start off on the biggest quality of life improvement, the difficulty adjuster. No longer are you just relocated between choosing easy, normal, or hard, or the newly added very easy and very hard. You can pick whether enemies give more or less experience points, whether they drop more or less money, the ability to retry battles if you get a game over, or how much damage you give or receive. It enables players to tailor their gameplay experience to their skill set, or people who just hate grinding for money like me. There's also tag team attacks, powerful attacks that trigger when certain pairs of characters are present in the party. There's a new dungeon themed around a brand new character, new personas, new locations to travel to, new animated cutscenes, and an entirely new winter segment, as well as an alternate ending and extended epilogue for the original ending. Modern improvements such as HD resolution, a quick save option, and of course achievements and trophies, which are standard procedure at this point, round everything out. Bottom line, it's superior in every way. With its new re-release, it has the potential to capture the hearts of those who were captivated by Persona 5. While I still consider Persona 5 Royal to be the pinnacle of the series and one of my favorite games of all time,
Persona 4 Golden is really where the series came into its own. And for $20, it's absolutely worth a play for any JRPG.